let's get some analysis on this by speaking to Professor Damien Kingsbury. He's a Myanmar expert at Deakin University, and he coordinated the largest international observer group to Myanmar's elections in 2015. Professor Kingsbury, good to have you with us. Now, the military did seem to telegraph this coup. Still, are you surprised they've gone through with it?
Well, one's always surprised or shocked, I guess, when something like this happens, because we did see Myanmar start to go down a moderately democratic path, but of course not really surprised. The military has always indicated that it was only going to allow reform to go to a certain extent. The report we wrote in 2015 said that the electoral process itself had been very good, but the retention of the military in parliament, keeping key ministries, and most importantly, the National Security Council's constitutional right to remove the elected government at any time for any reason was deeply disturbing.
And it's that clause of the Constitution, as it were, that I guess they have evoked at this point to push through this coup.
Yeah, look, we haven't heard them use that excuse at this stage, but Hlaing is the head of the National Security Council, so it was something that he always kept up his sleeve. It was always an option for him. Really, what we've seen too is a tussle between the Reform faction and the hardline faction in the military over many years. The Reform faction got their way, if you like, in the democratisation process because it was good for the economy. It was good for businesses owned by the military and which directly benefited many of the senior officers and the generals. But the hardliners were always more concerned to ensure that they ultimately retained power more than economic interest. And what we're seeing now is they're prepared to sacrifice economic interest on the altar of power.
And what comes next then for the leadership that has been detained? As we said, Aung San Suu Kyi is being held. She's no stranger, unfortunately, to being held in detention. What comes next for her and those around her?
My sense is they will be held in detention for at least several weeks, if not months. It's possible that Suu Kyi could go back to house arrest, but it would be on a strict proviso that she doesn't speak publicly. There will be strict censorship, of course, of the media. Communication has already been affected very badly, and that will continue to be the case. Public protests will be limited, political activity will be limited. We will see a tightening of the military grip over the next weeks and months. And I think that the discussion, the idea that this is going to be for 1 year is simply just doesn't add up. It's going to be 1 year and then a gradual release, which in itself might take some years to bring about. So we're going to see the military in power in Myanmar for quite some time to come.
Okay, Professor Damien Kingsbury, thank you very much for that analysis.